Here we are, finally for part five. Getting kind of close to the end of the whole lifespan of a car under my ownership, even though it still continues. But where we left off is my arrival to Georgia for a very short stint. So not a whole lot happened here, but here's a picture of the driveway, and here's another picture with the truck on it, so you can kind of see the slant. I don't have any of the inside of the garage, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. Like I said in the last video, because of the incline of the driveway and how steep it was, and all the short stay that my roommate and I were having while we were in Georgia, or had in Georgia, we decided not to unpack everything that we had, just the essentials. And so there was no space in the garage to do anything. Thankfully, though, the car, it was fresh out of the shop, so a new engine and all that, as you guys can recall. So maybe a couple thousand miles on it at this point. Probably not even that, because it was only a couple months that I stayed in El Paso before this point. So because of that, I had to do all the maintenance, not a lot of, all of the maintenance on the car and the truck was done at the auto shop there at Fort Eisenhower in Augusta, Georgia. So here's just a fun picture of the car from underneath. I don't know, I just thought it would be cool to have a picture of it, just to see what it looked like from underneath. And this is before I got the new IAG oil pan as well. So there it is, basic as can be, and all that fun stuff. Now, as I did say, obviously I have 5 fuel pumps in the car, and I was talking about all the wiring and whatnot. And going back, looking through the photos and all that, I kind of got a little bit better of an idea of what the product was, and then the shape up of it. Because at first, when I had the car originally in the shop before I picked it up and came to Georgia, the battery was still in the front, or under the hood, so it was still in the engine compartment. When I came to Georgia, I decided I wanted to move it or relocate it to the trunk, and that's what I did. But here's the rat's nest that was the wiring, and this is no fault of the shop that actually did the wiring. This is a fault of me. I was just in a rush. I didn't care. Everything worked, so I was willing to accept it as it was. Obviously, the shop was not, but I didn't know when I was going to be back in Washington next, especially with the truck and the trailer. So it was kind of it needs to happen now, or the car stays here for who knows how long. And I wasn't willing to take the chance on how long it would be. So took the car with the rat's nest. But when I got to Georgia, I had a few little projects that I wanted to do, and got in line with some of the car groups there and whatnot. And there ended up being a friend of some of the people there that was not necessarily specialized in wiring and electronics, but had more knowledge than I did. So this is the result after all of his work. Obviously, massively cleaned up. I kind of forgot that all the relays were on the left side of the trunk inside, obviously. Here, I'll repost the photo, but here you can see all the wiring was on the left side of the trunk. And then with the cleanup, all of the relays are now up underneath the lip, or the top lip of the trunk. So just hidden underneath the back seats, essentially. So there's that. Now, I said that there wasn't a lot of work that was done, and there was not. However, I had overbuilt the car, and I knew that I could push for more. So at this point, I was pushing 28 psi, as you saw in the last video, and that made about 535 to the wheels. So still, decent power, like a lot for me at the time, but now kind of decent. I can handle it anyway. Being on the street, on the track, a different story. I probably don't need as much power as I do, but there's an ego thing that went on there. Anyway, while I was in Georgia, I just got a bug, and I wanted to see if I could push for more power. So I decided to look up some shops, and I believe it was in Atlanta. And I don't know if they exist anymore. I imagine they would because they were a pretty big shop while I was there. But I ended up going to DBW Motorsports, and they had Supras and all that fun jazz. I forget what car was on the dyno before mine, but it was something that was pushing a lot more power than mine was. So here's a picture of me. I just thought it looked cool without the. I couldn't. So at this time, I still have the flatbed trailer, and I couldn't get the car onto the flatbed without scraping because I lowered it a little bit more without scraping the bumper cover. So I would always take the bumper cover off and toss it into the bed of the truck. So here's the car just kind of sitting on the street, and then two pictures of it. On the trailer, one from each side. And now I lived in a neighborhood and couldn't have the trailer on the side of parked within the traffic area for long. It's an HOA, so couldn't have a trailer anywhere. Now there was a baseline, so here's the dyno graph of the baseline pool, and kind of just it supports what the dyno in Washington was saying. So 534 with the correction factor, just a little bit of a smidge of a difference, but not even maybe 1%, if that. So very accurate on both dynos, which is pretty cool. So this is a baseline just to see where I was. And then here is what I ended up making. So while it was on the dyno, I forget exactly what had happened, but I do remember the car getting to, I think the dyno read out 699.7 or something like that. And I told the tuner that I wanted to go just a little bit extra. He was a little bit worried, as was I, because pushing big power already for a 4-cylinder. But I was like, just a little bit more, just eke out a little bit more. So turned up the boost a little bit, and we ended up making this 700 at 38 PSI. And here's the video of it. So we took it out on the street after it was done. Just left the truck and the trailer in the parking lot with my friend and I who went with me. Went out to lunch and did a couple of pulls, and the car literally felt like it was flying. Like the front end lifted up, and I could still steer and whatnot, but the car literally felt weightless. It was very, very strange. It was a very strange feeling for me, seeing as how it was 100. It was weird that 130 more or 170 more to the wheels could make such a crazy difference, because 530 to the wheels did not feel like that, but it was very stable. This was unstable, but 530 did not lift and create the weightless feeling that this did. And then here's a dyno graph of the baseline and then the new tune. So pretty cool there. Ended up, the baseline was 537 horsepower and 375 torque to the wheels. And then the new tune being 700 to the wheels for horsepower and 682 torque, which quite a bit of torque considering 4-cylinder, but turbos do magic, so that's awesome. And going fast forward just a little bit, I decided to, this is the point where I decided to take the car out and do a little bit more with the motorsports, just to use the car for what I built it for and experiment, see what I liked and all that fun stuff. But I wanted to be able to take more to the track with me without, stuffing the truck bed full of stuff and just having stuff slide all over the place. So ended up buying a enclosed trailer, and this is before 2020, before all the craziness happened. And I got this thing for a steal. So forget where I bought it, but it was about an hour and a half away from where I was living. And it's a 8.5 by 24 foot covered wagon, and obviously it's the trailer that I still have. But bare bones, nothing to it. The little light that was in it was only powered up when the trailer was actually hooked up to the truck. Other than that, nothing lit up. So yeah, bare bones, basic, but a lot more space. And now I can put stuff in the trailer and not be afraid of anybody coming to the truck and stealing stuff, which is very nice. And then here's a picture of it, truck and trailer side to side. I believe the trailer is a little bit longer than the truck. Take off the brush guard because I no longer have that, and excuse me. So that's cool. So as I said, I got this because I was going to the track and I wanted a little bit more security, as well as a little bit more security just while driving. Not that I think anything Fast and Furious is going to happen, but I don't know, just a little bit more of a comfort level, I suppose you could say, keeping the car hidden. So I went to the nearest track. I forget what it was called, but nearest track there, and actually Carolina Dragway. So went to a Cars and Coffee event there, and felt kind of cool because this is the first time I've taken the car out for drag racing, and I don't have two-step set up or anything like that. I'm running just the 700 wheel tune and using the access ports launch control function. So I don't know, I was playing around with the RPMs, but I felt cool because as I was scrolling through Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, I found some posts. So here's those two. Got one from Cars and Coffee of Augusta, and then one from I Got an STI from the same event. So felt pretty cool to be recognized on social media in that way. But moving on, I got one video of the speedometer at this event, and then I had a friend that was in the stands recording for me that decided to come and see what the experience was all about. So here are the videos of that. And then my pride and joy. I'm terrible at launching on all of these, and ultimately that's the reason why I decided not to do drag racing again. And all those videos, that's not all that I did for going to the drag strip, but those are all the videos I can find anyway. The fastest I went was an 11.7, which is absolutely horrendous for the amount of power that I was making. But my launching and my 60-foot, absolutely terrible, and the car not necessarily being set up for flat foot shifting also slowed things down. I did do it a couple of times, but terrified me because I thought I was doing a lot of damage, which I probably was. So I decided to start clutch shifting again. But ultimately at the end of this, I took a break in Georgia just because I was like, I'm not, I wasn't confident in my launching skills and all that. And as I said, my stint in Georgia was very short. It was only 6 months. Not a whole lot happened. And what I did do, which was, relocate the battery, do some wiring stuff, was just for cleanup. And then I also just decided to get more out of the turbo and the engine. So went to go get it tuned, but that was all. But here's the truck loaded up, and the trailer, this was when it was empty, but I ended up fitting everything that I owned into the trailer, minus the car, because obviously I can't fit everything plus the car in there. I had a house full of furniture and whatnot. So that's that. And as I said, didn't have the car in there. So after I dropped everything off in North Carolina, went back to Georgia, picked up the car. Thankfully, I PCS to somewhere that was close, so I was able to have a friend watch, or take custody of the car for a day. And after I unpacked the trailer, went to go pick it up, and then here is the car, truck, and trailer all at the first house that I had in North Carolina. And then here's just another visual of it. And then ultimately, this is the house I ended up buying while I was in North Carolina, and having everything there. And yeah, so here's it in the garage, neat and orderly as it should be. But that is the end of part 5 of this. So next is just going to be a lot of the me getting into road course stuff, and that's really about it. So yeah, my stay in Georgia was short. Like I said, all I did was relocate the battery, get the wiring cleaned up, and go for some extra power out of the turbo to see what it could produce. And then I went drag racing a few times and decided to not pursue that anymore. Not at that time. I just knew my performance was lackluster, so I was like, I'm not going to get the hang of this, or I gave up too easily. But I ended up, when I moved to North Carolina, finding what I truly enjoyed, and that's what I've stuck to and still to this day. So thanks y'all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay driven.